blockchain live firm. Right now manage the venture team as well as all the asset side and business development. Happy to enjoy the panel.
Cool, I'm Alex. I'm leading Solana's efforts in the Middle East, based in Dubai. My focus right now is bringing founders from all over the world, building on Solana to take advantage of what's happening in the UAE.
Fantastic, let's kick it off. So this year we've seen an array of different narratives come into the market. We've seen ordinals, node sales, DePIN, meme coins, and of course now there's a lot of chat around TON. We've seen clicker games, we've seen hyper casual games come through. Yat and Andre, you've both been avid investors in the TON network. Can you talk us through this narrative and why you think it's here to stay?
Maybe I'll start quickly. I mean, TON obviously, just a previous panel already discussed it, close to 1 billion users. Really, that's kind of what we think was needed for the Web3 space to have a sort of pathway to bring out these viral effects. Because previously, at least in Web3 gaming, you were restricted. For instance, Apple has a rule that you can now have NFTs in your game, you just can't use them. So basically, what's the point, right? And Steam outright banned NFTs inside games. So with TON and Telegram, you have basically this way in which you can expand these network effects and finally grow from them. So that's really sort of the primary reason why we thought there was potential around that. But of course, the point is that you can grow the network from it, but it's still up to the application to build these network effects and develop value from that. So it's not necessarily sort of a one-to-one equation, but we finally have this way in which we can get mass adoption from end users. So that's really the main thesis points. And of course, talented builders and developers will flock where distribution is. And that's another reason why we're quite bullish on the TON ecosystem.
Yeah, from my point of view, TON has the most important asset, that is access to hundreds of million Telegram users, right? And we've seen how TON could onboard, and how TON onboards millions, tens of millions of new users into the crypto space. Yes, it started like with clickers, with Notcoin and other ones, but now we see that projects are getting some traction, they're getting more mature, and from simple onboarding of some airdrop farmers, it is a stage when more advanced projects will be launched, right? And we are very close to this stage, and this will be like a new, fresh wave of new users that will be participating in DeFi and crypto actively, and the amount of them will be much higher than we've seen with other chains in the past.
So look, speaking of narratives, it would be remiss of me not to speak about the meme coin launches that we've seen this year. I think we're north of 2,500. I've got Alex on the panel from Solana, as if I'm not going to ask you about this. Can you maybe talk to me a little bit about how Solana feels about having this many meme coins? Do you feel like it's taking away the legitimacy of other projects like Helium or Radium? Like, how do you feel about the surge this year, and what does it look like going forward?
Yeah, it's a good question. Someone just pitched me in the back room something called Uranus, not financial advice. But look, I think, so a good analogy here is blockchains are a lot like cities. And right now, everyone is just coming to Solana. And that's bringing everything with it. So much the same, say, with Dubai. And a lot of the criticisms that Dubai might solicit, right, are around traffic, that's drop transactions maybe, but the flashiness, the soulness, a lot of the criticism, especially in the Western media, that comes along with that, of the rented Lamborghinis and the kind of undesirable things that come with just offering superior infrastructure to a global audience with very low or no barriers to entry. So it's kind of just, we have all of humanity moving on chain, and all of humanity's flaws will come with it.
And so with Solana, is this something that they want to be known for, or what type of projects are you trying to attract into Solana right now? Especially being head of the UAE super team here, I'd love to understand what you're trying to attract.
Yeah, so you were at the demo day at the Founders Villa. I'll have, across 3 weeks, I have 80 founders from 25 different countries all coming to the UAE. They typically spend about 7 days, and then they'll pitch their startup.
It's actually fantastic. If you haven't been to any of the events, there's one on Thursday. You should
Thursday night demo day. So actually, I'll show you, not just speak about it. You can come see for yourself. And there isn't a single meme coin on that stage. You have applications that are solving real-world problems in gaming, DeFi, real-world asset tokenization. So if you actually come, go back to the Dubai analogy, actually go there, visit. Don't just judge from afar on what's in the headlines. If you actually go there, spend time, and you realize that people are creating real meaningful business that are going to last a long time.
Fantastic. And Edward or Danilo, any comments from the meme coin craze that we've seen this year from your perspectives as successful VCs?
We've been late to the meme coin game, similar to how we've been late to the NFT game. So I think meme coins are here to stay, and they're very important part of the ecosystem.
Why do you say that? Why are they important?
Well, because I think also retail has a big interest in meme coins, and you know, it's a very creative industry, and things come up with new narratives, new memeable content that then gets shared on social media and attracts the normies to come in. And I think probably Yat has a bit more experience with that, but on our end, we like memes, but we're a bit late to the party, honestly.
That's okay. Any comments?
Our side,
Yeah.
exchange side, yeah, similar. I think if the fans or the users from our end, they like the token or asset, we'll probably try to support. But I think the more important part is the content rather than just the tokens itself.
If I may, meme coins and actually NFTs are very much tied to each other. So in 21 and 22, actually NFTs were essentially the mimetic of Web3. It wasn't a meme coin, but it was about the culture, it was about funny apes or funny dogs or funny, penguins or that kind of stuff. And now actually with meme coins, we just have it at scale. But there's a difference between them, which is that meme coins are much more economic because of the fungible nature, whereas NFTs are much more cultural and symbolic. But it's interesting that there's a convergence between the two. Because for instance, many of the NFT projects started launching tokens, right? And these tokens basically were effectively the meme coins of their sort of NFT collections. And now meme coins are launching NFT collections because they want to create basically a narrative around, okay, how do I build stats and how do I build deep culture in my community that I basically build meme coins. So we see a convergence of the two sides coming together, right? And so, recently, for instance, with ApeCoin and ApeChain as an example, that growth narrative was around what? Meme coins. And it fits rather perfectly because the Bored Apes and ape itself is a mimetic that most people in Web3 understand. So it is very much about culture and economics combined.
Do you think that meme coins also have cultures? Like if I think about Dog with Hat, I think of Anson.
Absolutely.
If I think of Mother, obviously I think of Iggy as others.
Absolutely.
Australia represent.
Yeah. So, brands are forms of culture, and brands is a network effect. Right, so whether it's a Nike or Adidas, or whether it's Dog with Hat, or basically Doge, or ApeCoin, that kind of stuff, these are all forms of mimetics. The question though is that these brand mimetics aren't always permanent. So just like brands can come and go quickly, there are some that can last the ages. And that's kind of the workplace we're in right now. I mean, if you had asked people, 5 years ago that Doge would be a lasting meme, most people would say, I don't know, right? And so now we have millions of tokens launching that are memes, and only some of them will succeed, which is very similar to the early days of the internet. Everyone trying to grab attention. You had chat rooms, talking about dogs, about cats, about every single hobby that's around the world. Some became big, most didn't. And that's actually the same with NFTs, right? A number of NFT collections became really big, right? Say what you want about the prices, but a Bored Apes floor price is still, $40,000. And that has lasting power versus basically many of the other ones that are basically gone to zero. So essentially the same cycle.
Yeah, Andreas, would you like to comment?
And also, if you take a look at meme coins as a tool for chains to get attention, to get more users, to onboard more users, is, from my point of view, is one of the best marketing tools here, right? Because you onboard a lot of users on the chain. The users generate volumes, the users bring TVL, creators bring more coins, and chain is becoming more active, which attracts another type of projects, not only memes, but also some DeFi, but also some RWA, but also some utility tokens and some VCs, because people and creators and entrepreneurs, they start feeling that, okay, this chain is active, there are a lot of users, and I can build on top of that to deliver some value, some product to them. That's also a very important part and role of the meme coins in the industry.
Sorry, not to monopolize, but just one comment to add is, when we look at investing in a token ecosystem, we look at how network effects form. Right, for us, the strength of the network effect is where the value comes. And what's beautiful about the Web3 is that a token, through its financial construct, adds an additional network effect that wasn't possible in Web2 before, which is the financial system. So when you build TVL, when you have DeFi, actually you're adding new network effects into cultural narratives that weren't possible before, for instance, right? And not all of them will succeed, but the ones that do basically have a life of their own. And it's not necessarily about the size. You could have literally just hundreds of thousands of users, but it could be very, very deep in terms of TVL, and that network effect is why Ethereum is where it is today. It's not about the speed of its transaction or the fact that it has most users, right? It's because it has very deep financial network effects that then become the flywheel for others, right? And I think that composability is really the superpower of Web3.
One of the other narratives I wanted to talk to Danilo actually about is that I saw a recent Forbes article that came out that said popular new battle royale off the grid is actually a crypto game. So we know that there's been a lot of unfortunate cash grabs in the Web3 gaming space over the last couple of years, but anyone here that's played off the grid recently, you know, got 70 million plus transactions, 3 million plus wallets. It's the #1 free-to-play game on the Epic Store at the moment. This feels like a really big turning point for us in Web3 gaming. You're a big investor in it. Can you talk to us a little bit about it?
Sure, with pleasure, thank you. So for those who may have not heard of Off the Grid yet, it's the first title of a gaming studio called Godzilla Games. And these guys have been working on this project for 5 years, and their focus has purely been on building the guest gameplay possible. So not only are the founders heavyweights from the gaming industry, but also they have Neil Blomkamp as a co-founder who is the person that has directed the entire story of the project, right? And so what's different from what Off the Grid has achieved versus other games is particularly it has gained interest from the traditional Web2 gamers. Not only because the project has been able to be on, you know, consoles, be it Xbox, PS5, and PC, which is what AAA games actually stands for, but particular in the last 2 weeks since the global launch of the application, the retention has been the focus on. And it's beautiful to see that people are enjoying the game, and then Web2 users are actually slowly understanding why Web3 is important. So for example, the marketplace of the in-game assets of the game, they're fully enabled by the blockchain. And you can see videos online, professional Web2 gamers who teaching other Web2 gamers why the blockchain is useful. And so that's, I think, why we've reached a turning point and why everybody wants this game to win. It's because we are wanting to have others talk about the benefits of the blockchain to the right audiences. Because crypto gaming today, let's say if you compare it with Web2 gaming, it's still rather small. So we need more users and we need more, you know, proponents of the blockchain. And I think Off the Grid is a great example, and finally they're here and live.
Do you feel like this is setting the new bar for investments going forward for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because people often ask us what we like to invest in, and we say, look, we like consumer, we like infra, we like gaming, and then they pitch us games, right? But the thing is, once you understand, I mean, we don't come from a gaming background, but through this investment, we've understood how hard it is to really build games, especially if you want to distribute them to tens of millions of users and have an actual revenue. So for example, the nodes from Godzilla, they don't come with a valuation from the sky. They're based on the revenue of the company. So I do believe that, yes, it sets a high bar for future games to build economies that are sustainable and that can survive, you know, fluctuations of the market. Because we all know crypto goes up, crypto goes down. Godzilla Games, their focus is not on the token right now. It's purely on building the best game. So I believe, Yat, you're also an investor. I think you agree with this ethos where we need to push gaming founders to just focus on the games, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, Godzilla is one of our earlier portfolios, particularly with AAA sort of narrative. So very glad that we're doing this together. I think the one thing to understand in Web3 gamers is that most of the Web3 gamers are not gamers. They're a new type of gamer. Right? There's 3.4 billion people who play games, and there's almost 3 billion people who don't play games. And so all of the people who are coming in basically playing the hamster combats, the gabies, the cadizens, are actually people who don't normally play games, many of them. And they enter because of financial incentives. And then the percentage of them become gamers. This is, by the way, how mobile gaming grew. Mobile gaming, before mobile gaming basically became big in 2010, 2011 with the advent of the smartphone, it was basically PC or console. There were only half a billion gamers out there. And when none of them were playing mobile games, right? They weren't playing Angry Birds, Candy Crush, or even Farmville on social. But then the percentage of those gamers that basically said, oh, mobile game's fun, Angry Birds interesting. They're like, okay, how do I actually get to a deeper level of gameplay? And that actually basically translated it down. The PlayStation 3 was a flop, and the PlayStation 4 did really well because the gaming audiences grew as a result. And basically here with Web3, that'll happen the same. hundreds of millions of users will come into Web3 gaming, like the Canizens, Hamster Combat, Static Schedule. A percentage of them will say, oh, you know what, we really like gaming. And then they filter down. And then they're going to be looking for the games like Godzilla's Off the Grid for that quality. While games like Off the Grid are going to bring people from Web 2 into Web 3, which basically wasn't something that happened before. We've already had Axie, which really was a new type of gamer, right? And now with Off the Grid, you're getting traditional gamers coming into Web 3 as well.
I can see, Edward, you're nodding there. Did you want to make any comments?
For the game?
Yeah.
To be frankly, yeah, personally, I'm the fan of the game, GameFi. Actually, we also work with a lot of big game factory in China. Almost all of them, they enter the Web3 space actually, like Tencent, NetEase, you know, like Lily's, like Shenda game, you know, a lot of top level Web2 game group in China, they enter the Web3 space by using all kinds of way. But you know, from the investment and the exchange operation angle, to be friendly, we don't have very successful experience. In the 2020, 2021, I think for Huobi Ventures, we invested in around 100 GameFi projects, but actually very few survive so far. I think one of the key principles, which I totally agree with Yasu and Daniel, is I think majority of the team joining that moment is still trying to pick up more focus on the token and the blockchain rather than the game quality. But right now, I think the trend is being changed. Game quality is the number one, and then you can leverage the right technologies through the blockchain and bring the right user into the space. I think that this is the right mindset right now. I think we're happy to see that. But from the exchange operation angle, to be friendly, you still need some way to go because we also list a lot of GameFi token. But to be friendly, you know, the user, the target audience is different. A game sometimes they more attract the gamers, but exchange more attract traders, right? I think that's the part which we are still trying to pick it up. Yeah.
And so from the Forbes article, or what people are coming to the realization is that, you know, we have these Web 2 gamers coming into this Web 3 space. So one of the benefits of Off the Grid is the usability of it. It doesn't quite feel like a Web 3 game traditionally of what we would have seen a few years ago. Danilo, I know that you've made quite a few investments around the account abstraction with Xeon and Particle Network. Can you talk to us a little bit about your thesis there?
Yeah, sure. So gaming is one of the tools or one of the verticals that allows Web 2 users to get the value of the blockchain, but there's of course other verticals as well, right? We not just have gaming, we have social fi, we have general consumer apps. You know, you could be, actually in the UAE, I'm not sure people are aware, we have UAE Pass. UAE Pass is one of the applications you have to use to become a resident here, where all your documents are stored. That's built on the blockchain, right? So, and there is chain abstraction involved in there for many years. It just didn't have a label yet, right? But you're using the blockchain without knowing it, the same way our parents and grandparents go on Google and use the browser without understanding HTTP protocols. So it's the same narrative, it's the same kind of enabling of adoption and onboarding of new users via chain abstraction. And these days there are indeed layer 1s, layer 2s, which are focusing particularly on enabling other middleware and applications to basically embed chain abstraction within their core infrastructure. And so yes, Xeon is one of our bets, Particle Network as well. They're all having a kind of a different approach to chain abstraction, but that's one field that we're particularly interested in, and follows like gaming the ultimate goal to onboarding new users.
Andre, are you seeing this at DWF Labs as well?
Yeah, we invested and we continue to invest a lot in gaming companies and games, and also in some guilds. From my point of view, the games, they are like growing, right, since 2022, as Edward said, right? Because in 2022, 2021, most of the game producers encrypted, they build something like financial systems, not games, right? Play to earn, when you play and get tokens, right? It was very great model, but it ended up not nicely, because in the end, it's like a Ponzi, right? Which is okay. We're in the startup space, right? People produce something, people try it. It learned a lot of other people, and industry learned a lot from this, right? Then now what we have, right? From my point of view, there are like a few types of games that make sense to invest and make sense to participate, right? That they have some kind of monetization. If the team has some, real money flow and revenue flow from the game that they're operating. It could be in-app purchases, it could be some in-game items, right? Or it could be attention, right? Like marketing when you sell traffic. But it still should have some additional benefit for the game owners instead of selling tokens, right? And then we see, like a phenomenon when a lot of people, let's say, exchanges their attention to tokens, then cash it out to stables, and something big happened, right? Like simple game, no money invested, almost no money invested, no people gave some money to here, they spend some time, then they have airdrop, and it goes 1 billion. It means something, right?
So we've spoken about meme coins, obviously Ton with gaming. Actually, Edward, I just wanted to pick your brain quickly around the Bitcoin space. Obviously, we had the Bitcoin halving this year. I saw that you made investments into Corn, Babylon, Lombard. Is this a large part of your thesis at the VC? Can you talk to us a little bit about this?
BTC ecosystem? I think we are a strong supporter for this area. Number one, I think basically BTC is the biggest asset within the space. Number one. Number two, I think it has huge potential to become to build a very mature ecosystem, but you need to using the right way. I think the BTC ecosystem is a little bit different from the other layer 1, layer 2 infra, because others they are more focused on maybe DeFi, maybe GameFi, SocialFi, everything, right? But I think for BTC ecosystem, we think the number one principle for them is the asset characteristics. I think that's the part which we should focus on. So that's why we talk with a lot of different teams and projects. We co-work with a lot of top-level venture capitalists within this area. But luckily, I think we did some good deals. Like from the CDFI perspective, we invest into Bounce-Speed. I think they successfully listed on Binance already in this first half year. And we're also involved in the Lombard and Core. I think both are the good, aggregator for the yield and also the upcoming financial service. I think it has a lot of potential. From our perspective, we think right now, I think it's not the right time just to do a pure DeFi solution for all the institution clients, especially for BTC. After ETF approved, a lot of traditional background institution and the money, old money coming to flow, which is good, but they are kind of conservative. So the better way for them is to provide a CDFI solution, which they feel is very comfortable from the front end, but we can leverage the blockchain and DeFi space, alpha, so that we can create the right product and service to them. So we think during a certain period of time, CDFI is one of the best choices so far. So that's why we're deeply involved, and we're happy to see a lot of our portfolios grow very fast. But in the future, I think there's a lot of other upcoming and innovative stuff join the space as well. We also see the invest in few projects like borrow and lending protocols like kind of handle within the BTC ecosystem. A lot of other small innovation, a new innovation direction, but still need some time to grow. Yeah, but we are bullish about it.
And look, we've just got a couple of minutes left. I just want to draw on a conversation that we were having backstage. One of the trends that we've seen this year when going to flow projects, and I know some people in the audience may be looking to launch their own coins this year, we've seen low float, high FDV, low float, Edward. I feel like there's a little bit of a disagreement there. I'd love to just quickly hear what your thoughts are.
Well, I mean, before we go there, but yes, I do want to address this. But one thing I wanted to also point out, speaking about meme coins basically on Solana, one thesis point for us is actually that we think actually just how meme coins are launching NFTs, games are going to start using meme coins. And I'm kind of curious also to see sort of how many Solana meme coin projects are actually now thinking about launching a game or working with someone to launch a game. And if you're a game developer, instead of launching a token, isn't it maybe smarter to leverage the network effects of token ecosystems that are out there? So it's kind of one point, right? I don't know if you want to address that before I go into the low float high FDV.
We've got a couple projects. They're actually in Dubai doing everything on compressed NFTs. All in-game assets are there, and I'm pretty sure they're planning a TG. So there's some. I think you're exactly predicting what's coming.
So that's one area, and that actually comes down to this point about sort of, to us, this whole sort of low float high FDV thing misses the point altogether. And that's not to say that there's relevance. It has to do with, if you issue a large number of tokens to a community, why are they joining the network? And if the network they're joining is just to extract value, it doesn't matter if it's low float or high float, it doesn't really matter, because basically they're only there for one thing, extract, right? And so it's really about how do you build a network of people who believe in what you do, and then building the networks that come from it. And so it doesn't matter whether it's high or low, and it's about bringing the kind of capital in that supports it. So we think we've started in this institutional era of crypto today, meaning heralded with Bitcoin ETFs, but really, if you want to launch a token project, how do you stand out from the millions of tokens launched by Pump.Fund, for instance, relative to others? And that isn't because you can't launch a project from Pump.Fund. It could be worth millions, or maybe even tens or hundreds of millions. But if you get into something that could be worth billions, then you need institutional backing. And think about not just Bitcoin and Ethereum. Look at Solana, for instance. It has institutional backing. Look at Ton. They have institutional backing. And they're the ones who ended up having basically sort of support because of that, buying on market. So the liquid fund strategy becomes important. So if you're thinking about launching a token, think about how you can be institutionally ready, and also what kind of institutional support you can have. That's for us a major thesis point this year, evolving into next year. Because an institution won't invest in a meme coin as much as they would love to, unless it reaches a kind of institutional readiness, which is still years out.
I'm going to pause you. Edward, could you make your comments? Yeah.
I think we have different angle. I think number one, from the value perspective or long-term building perspective, I totally agree with the Yasu. I think at the end of the day, majority of the project which can really contribute the real value to the whole industry is more like institutional driven or maybe centralized operation driven. Even for the meme coin, we still see some types which in the very beginning the project is just dedicated to meme coin, but they start to grow, become community, and they start to build a lot of other space based on that. For example, I remember there's a token project called a Deepin based on base, right? I think they do some similar thing and they start to build their own chain or whatever. I think if you have very clear vision and you centralize operational and you get institution back, I think you can get a long-term way to go and a long-term value you can create. I think totally agree with the Yasu. But our struggling part, to be frank, is as an exchange operator, we're struggling because number one, all our users in advance, if we list a token and the token price drop, they will come to us. They won't come to the project. They will say, hey, Edward, you list a shit token. The price drop, we're angry about it. We just want to make money. We don't want to lose money on your platform, right? So it brings us a lot of pressure. I think that's from the exchange operator. So that's why you can see all the top exchanges right now, they are very, very cautious to pick up the right meme coin to list. But for early stage, so that's why early stage meme coin only survive on DEX rather than centralized exchanges. Centralized exchange has more users, has a huge responsibility for all their interests of their users. I think that's the struggling part for us. So that's why when we list, so as to play safe, we're more willing to pick up the low FDV product. So that's why we see, this has potential to grow. If you list a meme token with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 billion FDV, it will be very hard for you to expect that they will have a growth in the coming future. I think that's the struggling part for exchange operator.
Very interesting. One last rapid question for everyone on the panel. Let's go down. Either comment on a narrative that you think is here to stay or one that you think is here to go. Rapid fire. Yeah.
Meme coin narrative?
Any narrative that you think that's either done or you think that it's here to stay.
Institutionalization, right? What is mentioned, right? Because a lot of institutional money are coming to the industry, and a lot of institutional funds, family offices, they also make money from funding rights arbitrage, from some farming strategies, from some low risk strategies with low PPI but stable, right?
Okay, so sorry, we're at time. So institution-backed coins, quickly. What's in or out? What's hot or not?
I think a narrative that not enough people are talking about, but really important, is reputation.
Reputation.
So basically, the future of our industry is based on how do we build more trust, and the antidote to that is basically more reputation, and that comes from forms of digital decentralized ID. So that's kind of a big area we think that'll help the space.
Danila.
So I mentioned gaming and chain abstraction is something we like. What I don't like yet, or I don't find sexy at this point, is RWA. I feel there needs to be some sort of application that makes that kind of interesting. So I have high hopes for it, but so far I feel it's kind of boring.
Sure. Edward.
Any comments?
Hot or not? What's hot or not? What's in or what's out from a narrative perspective? Investments.
for investment, yeah, we more prefer the real narrative, real demanding. We are demanding, narrative oriented. And any product and service you can solve the real problem, we will be happy to see that, and we can foresee the product will have a long-term sustainable growth. I think that's our focus right now.
Sure. Alex?
DePIN, decentralized physical infrastructure.
In or out?
In. Very bullish. Electric vehicle charging compensated by token is an example of that happening on Solana right now.
Don't disagree. All right, let's bring our hands together and thank everyone from the panel. Thank you very much.
دیگهش قطع شد.
Another amazing panel. Thank you so much.
بریم سراغ CD فایو رو سرچ بکنیم. بعد جدا از CD فایو گفتش به خاطر ETF که اومدش مدلش متفاوت شده. باید یه فضایی وجود داشته باشه که پولای سنتی هم بیان تو. واسه این بگردیم دنبال یه فضایی که پولای سنتی هم بتونن راحت‌تر بیان. RWA هم گفتم فعلا اپلیکیشنی نداره، برامون جذاب نیست. گیم هم اگه می‌دیدین زیاد میگفتن چون سه تاشون سرمایه‌گذاری اصلی کریپتو گیمینگن. یه ذره زیاد بهشون توجه نکنید.
Everyone can have simultaneous translation of speeches into more than 70 languages around the world. Scan the QR code, I mentioned that one, on your badge or on your badge, and put on your headphones and enjoy AI translation. I have a question. Who is using the translation? Anyone? Translation? Maybe we'll see. How is it? Хорошо, плохо? Хорошо? Super. Okay, отлично. Okay, we could probably say many impressive and grand words about our next speaker and their company. But instead, I'll leave it to you to guess who it is. I'll say just two words. Probably nothing.
الان هم راجع به Notcoin ایونت.
That's cool, because my iPad says crowd howls. And you guys howled. It was amazing. Woo!
Hey everyone, love to see you here. Yeah, today I'm gonna speak about Notcoin. Just to understand who is here, like, have you heard something about Notcoin? Please just raise your hand. Perfect. I think, yeah, it's like 60-70%. I'll go shortly through the story just to share the whole context with everyone. So, Notcoin, we started this actually 1 year ago, exactly 1 year ago. I presented this concept on the stage. Okay. I presented this concept on Gateway in the conference for Tom. The idea was to basically onboard all the millions of people to the chain, trying to remove all the unnecessary blockers and basically just distribute points at that moment for them. We've made this launch on the 1st of January, which was kind of eternal joke for us developers because we're already quite exhausted building this stuff, and yeah, celebrating New Year with laptops was just another one way to make it more absurd. Then in a week, again, all these numbers like 1 million DAO was not something common at the moment, so we're like not really ready for this. Of course, our that service and everything just melted down, and yeah, people obviously made their best with all the memes and support we got in the chats. At some point, we realized that, yeah, like tapping on the button maybe is not the most interesting way to spend time. So we started creating some extra quests, trying to target to those who basically are most I don't know, loyal, most curious people in the community. So what we did, we've made a couple of things like with the meta quest, for example. We just started the like space in Telegram. People for everyone, for billions of people, they connected. There were some noises from like streets or something like that. But through this noise, you were able to hear some clicks, like tap, 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 something like that. And if you repeat this on the button, then you will see the code, like wake up or something like that. and then everything will change on your screen, like the whole thing, and you will end up in some secret community that basically just for those who kind of realized how it works. So then we made this not dilemma thing, which is basically quite similar to the prison dilemma experiment. So basically, we just wanted people to allow them to split some Notcoins between each other by or steal from each other. In the original prison dilemma, people basically just usually win when they steal, or in their case when they provide some evidences for another person. In this case, we decided to add the history of the action, so you know your opponent basically what they made before, which actually led up as a result something interesting, something that we looked for. People starting splitting with each other all the time just for the better result. And obviously, all the communities that we had, 53,000 Telegram communities participated in Notcoin, created their squads, competing with each other. We made some kind of squad battles with them. Top 100 people from each squad basically participate in that. And as a battle royale, we just reduced the circle into the two final, winners that took the prize. The thing is, all of this is not about Twitter, and all of this is not about crypto as we think about it, but it is about experience. Things that basically create some emotional bonding, with community, with product. Something that basically make you not only tap to earn, literally, but also spend time, that you'd like to spend in this way. In March, we decided to go with the first on-chain stuff on Notcoin. We basically allowed people to mint vouchers, which is the kind of pre-market for Notcoins at the time. So people were able to mint NFTs that represented their balance and trade on the marketplace. First crypto experience for most of the audience that we had at the moment. And as a result, you can see this. This is the chart. Oh, sorry. This is the chart for NFT. All the NFTs minted on the March. At the moment, we started the same, like on-chain experience, and all the educated people that learned how to mint and everything. They just changed the whole activity on the chain. And as a result, yeah, it was quite intense, quite interesting journey for us, for community, and we just decided that we need to finish it in the right way. So at the very end, like for the week or so, we made some weird stuff, like the screen started glitching, people started seeing some stuff, like the coin itself just exploded at the end, and we saw this Star Wars-like tiles at the end. So as a result, this kind of absurd thing at the moment became the first coin on Don. Basically, we've been listed on Binance, Bybit, in our case. On Binance, we've been listed even ahead of Ton, the ecosystem coin, which is a bit weird, but yeah, that's how it worked. At the moment, all of them, all the tier 1 exchange, basically, they made the launch pool, which is also was quite weird, and all this kind of new and weird feeling. This is something that we and our community I think experienced all the way along. So we dropped roughly 2.5 billion USD in airdrop for users, and right now we have 50 million total users at the moment. So this is basically how the Institutionalization and Phantom look like. This is the on-chain activated wallets, means that they made at least one external transaction from the wallet, because obviously you just created wallets, I think more than 100 million. So from the moment that it started, it's roughly here. So for now we have 20-ish more people that basically using blockchain. The activity metrics on the blockchain are also quite high. So they right now are reading not only our service but also the service of all these great applications as well. So that's how the whole narrative started, and basically that's what we didn't expect, but at the same time, I think at every moment that we had with our community, we totally understood what exactly we want to do and why we do it. So the main point, I think, what I learned from all this experience is basically the emotional experience that you share, or people share with each other, playing your game, using your product, watching your film, whatever, that was turned them from the random group of people into something that is more meaningful, something more bonded. Like you with your friends, when you go first time, for example, in some wild adventure, you basically create your, real bonding at the point. Or students in the university is a great example of the communities that can survive, many, many years after the graduation. Or gamers, both basically those who are watching the championships and those who are playing these games, like, for example, they play Dota, everyone feels like, they know what's happening, they understand the whole thing here. They feel this like a bit weird experience, maybe, because again, it's just something that happened, whatever, like 20 years ago for the first time. And yeah, obviously all the experiences that we have right now in crypto, and not only crypto, developers, taking experiences, all the stuff with memes and everything. It's also something that usually attract a group of people and gives them some emotions that they never, or maybe just didn't have in other areas. So these are groups of people that kind of experience something very important with Notcoin. So first of all, obviously, those who competed for 3 months in a row, those who basically tried to climb to the leaderboard and compete with the squads and everything. For them, it was a real thing. For them, it was like, they had to wake up in the morning, start doing this stuff, and so on. Many projects, many communities, basically, they've got huge audience from Notcoin. At some point, we just realized that why not to share the audience, right? Why not to just, allow people to follow your channel in case if you just created the squad from the channel. And as I said, 53,000 squads were created, so it means that 53,000 channels earned or just got some audience from Notcoin. And as a result, we've got a lot of influencers that grew up their channels from 0 to 500,000 people. And you can imagine how important it is for them. So for example, I have an example. One guy, basically he worked on a cargo ship for some years already. And this is quite hard job. You have to go for several months into some another trip and so on. And he became an influencer that basically started, this started earning him money much more than he did with the cargo ship. And eventually he just, jumped off from his old role. This guy. All right, he is there. All right, this is my applause to you guys. Thank you. So yeah, the same for those who contributed for the first time, same for those who basically received their first crypto experience in Notcoin. It was very important for us as well, as builders, as developers. It was quite significant. So that was the beginning. That's just the thing that attracted people, the thing that created the bonding. The question is how to make them stay. And I think that here we go in deeper, because on the surface, when you have top to earn stuff, it's with some viral mechanic, Telegram, and all these things, it's not no brainer how to bring an audience. Right now, you can see lots of applications that do this, but not all the applications or not all the experiences, projects, meme coins, whatever, they create communities that last. With Notcoin, we had several principles. First of all, it's not bullshit. From the very beginning, we did it like, all right, so we will do this in a different way. Not because we want to do this in different, because the current way, kind of general, that free way, usually, creates lots of fans, and the bar is not really high. So we just decide, all right, we'll try to go transparent, we'll try to go community first, we'll try to avoid all the traps that usually projects create, consciously or unconsciously for users. And as a result, yeah, we see that even now, the amount of holders is growing. Really love to see this. Oh yeah, by the way, just small thing. When we had this no-log stuff and going to the main exchange, they were all like, guys, it's really weird. So why are you going without logs? It's just, the selling pressure, blah blah blah. So the funny part is right now, all the projects I know that are launching right now on Tier 1 exchange, they hear that maybe you consider to go without logs at the beginning. So the things just changed the whole industry in some way. It was really something that I think this is what we would not expect at all. Another thing with Notcoin, one of the principles that we had all the way along is, I call this positive sum over zero sum, means that you always try to not to win for when somebody loses, you try to win together. So in this case, in Telegram, we have a bunch of tools, bunch of resources to make things happen. And we help projects, we work with some projects here, like for example right now NotPixel, they're having whatever 20-ish, 5 million people there and playing, painting pixels, fighting with communities and so on and so on. And we're happy to help them, and vice versa, they're happy to help us and our community. So basically all the Notcoin community benefits from the projects that benefits from us, which is again the positive sum that we're looking for. Another point is basically from the very beginning, on Notcoin Twitter, we had this banner like probably nothing. It was kind of a joke, but at the same time, to be honest, it's a really important thing for me personally, because I think the whole concept of trying to be more inside than how it looks outside is much more powerful than otherwise. So you know that lots of projects, hundreds, thousands of projects are doing this, like in their Twitter, like, hey guys, we are partnered with these guys, or we're going to build layer 2, 3, 5, 10, or whatever, just trying to catch more attention, allowing not like providing no clear value at the moment, trying to oversell at some point. Unfortunately, yeah, that's something that we've seen a lot, and that's what we just decided to do differently from the very beginning. So from the very beginning, it was a joke. It's probably nothing. We never basically promised anything. We never tried to show that Notcoin would become the biggest thing ever and blah blah blah. But maybe this was the reason why people felt like, all right, so that's actually something different. This project is not trying to sell me something. They're trying to basically not sell me something and allow me to not to play or not to go or not to hold or whatever. So I think that's what made the whole thing funny. I mean, we are really not serious. I finished this presentation 1 hour ago. I know that these guys are going to kill me maybe, but I really like to go with that kind of stuff on the network, on the social networks and so on, because I think that's trying to be too serious, it just kills the whole vibe. But at the same time, trying to the underestimation is also an issue. So in this case, we're just joking aside that basically all the Bitcoin key benefits like the scarcity, distribution, this community token and so on, it's not that unique. Lots of coins are actually allowing you similar fundamentals. So lots of coins are basically social meme coins. They go in with 100% from the very beginning. And lots of them are new and weird. And as we saw from our experience first, like new and weird is I think the good description of things that sometimes explode massively. Sometimes it works weird again. So yeah, one more thing. I think the last one. So recently I just thought that there are some processes that are not, you can expect that they will not be ended, they will not be finished. So for example, in my opinion, I cannot see a reasonable way for the amount of coins that are creating every day going down, or every year, whatever. So it means that since right now everyone can create their own coin, they can go to the meme pad, they can go and create it themselves on some minters and so on. Because of that, amount of coins will be just rise dramatically, and this is something that I don't see we really can stop. So we just need to kind of be ready for this stuff. And the more and more and more and more coins are coming, the more and more and more and more noise you have in Twitter, the more and more and more and more things that are actually just create some noise around you. The less time or the less opportunity you have to have some kind of connection or bond with the particular coin or community or whatever. So things are changing quickly, and from this point, I think experiences that the emotional shared social experiences that you create for your communities, basically the only way to fight this trend. So I mean, the only way you basically can become something on this huge amount of noise. And obviously, I mean, like from the very beginning, from the 1st of January, receiving lots of questions about like how to make the next Notcoin, how to build a similar thing, and so on and so on. So I guess we never know. Thank you guys.
چیز خاصی نگفت، اومد فقط گفت ناتکوین چیه چی بوده. چون تو هیچ فضای رسمی کریپتوی تا الان صحبت نشده بود.
So, during your free time, I encourage you to share these insights on social networks and media. Please remember to
میسازن شب یه ویدیو 10 دقیقه یوتیوب آپلود میکنم نگاه کنید.
And use the hashtag blockchainlife2024, one word of course. We will eagerly be monitoring and sharing the most remarkable posts on our official networks. And once again, I would like to thank, Once again, I would like to thank the organizer of the forum, Listing.help. Listing.help is the first listing agency on the market providing faster and cost-effective listings since 2017. Listing.help has done over 2,000 listings on over 100 exchanges. So again, find them at booth A3. And as more individuals and institutions enter the crypto space, the need for secure storage of digital assets becomes paramount. In the next fireside chat, the CEO of Ledger will show us how the company is leading the charge to provide secure, user-friendly solutions that help build trust in the cryptocurrency ecosystem, paving the way to mass adoption. So I would love to invite onto the stage the chairman and CEO of Ledger, Pascal Gauthier, and business journalist at CNBC Arabia, Maisa Eid. Big round of applause, please. Come on up.
خب این یکی رو میتونیم نباشیم. میرم زنگ تفریح، بعد میام اینستا لایو میشم ادامه‌شو.
Welcome everyone. It's a real privilege to be here at Blockchain Live Dubai 2024 to have an interesting discussion with the chairman and CEO of Ledger, Pascal Gauthier.